What's up, everyone? I am back with another video. I had an idea for another video that I want to do, but it's going to be a little bit more in depth to do. It was a request about a reading challenge that I created with my wife, but work was a little busy this week, so I think I'm going to table that. But I had another idea that has been kind of gnawing at me that it's just been on the front of my mind, so I wanted to get it out real quick. And that is I want to talk about some popular series that I have not read. And these are ones that are all around most booktubers and people that even casual readers that have probably read. Definitely most booktubers have read, talked about, are on top reading lists and the like. So I wanted to get some of these out of the way, especially just because it's, I guess, I wouldn't say it's important, but just to know where I'm at reading wise and why certain books might not pop up on certain lists of mine if I don't talk about them as much. And some of these are pretty heavy hitters that might might change people's tunes toward me, but not that many people are watching these videos anyway, so it's fine. Um, so I'm going to start off with I have these broken down into three different sections or categories. The first one is going to be ones that are either incomplete or just untouchable series because of that. The next section is going to be ones I'm trying to fit in. And the last ones are ones that are kind of on the radar, but they are way down the road. I have no idea when they're gonna fit in. So to start off with, for sure, a big heavy hitter, and that is Stormlight. I have not even started Stormlight, and that is for several reasons. I own the first three of the four, and I wanted to get to it. I always hear great things about it, but I am not one, and what this category is, I am not one to start series that are not complete. And I know Brandon Sanderson is regularly putting these out, but the next one's not coming for another 3 years. And this is book 4 of 5 in the first section, only for 5 more later to be 10 total from what I remember. I plan on reading the first 5. I'm not going to wait for all 10. That's just a little too crazy. But the fact that I have 3 years to read the first 4 books before the last one comes out, the last one, not really in a rush because I'm going to be reading that one. By the time I read that, I'm going to be reading at the same time as all the other people that have read the series multiple times for a very long time. And that's kind of the thing is that when I finish a series, and this is how I came up with this rule because I would binge a series and then the last book or two didn't come out, and then it'd be 2 or 3 years before I wait for it, and then I have no idea what's going on. I forget. I have to look for um I have to look for summaries and such like that. And I am not a rereader. I'm really not going to reread 1,000+ page books. Not going to reread 3 or 4 of them before the last one comes out. I just don't have time for that. It's. I mean, if that's what you like, cool. I'm not doing it. So Stormlight is definitely on my list. I might start it at the end of this year. I've already made a video on what I want to read this year. It wasn't on it, but things always change. It's a loose list, and I might, since they're so long of books, I can probably read one per quarter, one every 3 months, and then still be fine to remember and see what's going on by the time the next one comes out. But I can also push this till next year, and because I already have 2 or 3 1,200 page or 1,000+ page books that I want to get to this year anyway, on top of the other series. So that's where I'm at with Stormlight. So that's why it's not going to show up on any list, or I'm not going to talk about it. Also, sometimes, I mean, this is just a side thing personally with me. Some of the more dogmatic, crazy fans out there for Stormlight, where they preach that it's the best thing in the world, and I know everybody has their favorite series to talk up, but it gets kind of old when people are saying it's the end all be all best, and people are telling everybody that they have to read it because it does everything good for them. And if you talk bad about it, people will, come after you and harass some of the booktubers that do criticize some of the parts of the books. It just gets kind of annoying. So I don't really want to dip my toes into any of that quite yet. Anyway, the next one really hurts. Kind of hurts my heart because it's a series that I think I would absolutely love, but it is nowhere near being complete, and there is nowhere. It is not even going to be a in sight of when it could be complete, and that's Gentlemen Bastards. I believe the first 3 are out, and it's supposed to be 7. Last time I heard, I didn't fact check any of this before. It's definitely something that I think would be awesome. It's heist, thieves, fantasy world, funny banter, camaraderie, all those things. I think is just right up my alley, completely perfect. But there's only 3 books of 7 in, and he's just gone the writer's gone MIA for personal reasons. He's gone through, personal stuff I've heard, but I don't wanna get to a point where I just can't wait till the next thing happens and then the next book not come out for another 10 years, or they never do. I mean, if he finally says he's hung it up and he's all done, then, maybe I'll pick it up and chalk it up for what it is, and I'm sure I'll still get enjoyment out of it if I read it, but I'm just not in a rush to read something and then not complete it, kinda like Game of Thrones right now. It would be good to read, but well, I have read Game of Thrones, by the way, or A Song of Ice and Fire. It'd be, so these are ones that would be good to read, but I'd rather have a completed series. And because of so many books that I have right now, I just can't fit it in. Next one is King Killer Chronicles. This one, yeah, I mean, this is definitely another one with a running joke of that it's never going to be completed. I think only the first two are out. I know a lot of people swear up and down and love the first one, and that's it. Like you can just read the first and be done with it. I do own the first one. I just have no desire to fit it in to, read first two books of the series and then completely abandon it. Next, Jade City. This is still kind of new. I have the first one. The second one just came out, and I think the third one's already in line to come out. So I'm just waiting to start it, honestly. I'm not sure when the third one will come out. If it's just three, I'm not even sure if it's just three. So this one's kind of loose. The Greenbone Saga, starting with Jade City. So I'll get to it. It's still new anyway, so that's no big deal. Next section are the ones that I am trying to fit in. These are ones that look complete. I might even own some of them, and I'm actively trying to get them in. Now, this first one is the heaviest hitter, even heavier hitter than Stormlight, and I do not own it yet, but it is definitely on my list, and that is Lord of the Rings. And that now, before you jump too much all over me, I've had my reasons of to why I don't want to start it. For one, when I first started getting into reading, I wanted to read new things. I didn't read anything that I'd already seen the movie of. So early on in my reading days, by the time I started actually reading, they were already through the first 5 Harry Potter movies. So I just picked up to whatever book was next, the Half Blood Prince. That's where I was left off, and I just read the last two. I didn't even read the first books. I still haven't even finished the first books, but I've been going through them recently. So I never read anything that I'd already seen the movies because I was in the other impression of, well, I'm not going to read for 12, 15, however many hours for something that I already know what happens. I know the books are vastly different, and I'm definitely learning that more and more. But still, I wanted to read something fresh, and I felt like being a new reader, if I already know what's going to happen, if I already know twists and turns and stuff like that, then I'm probably not going to finish the book. I'm going to lose interest. I need to find something that is completely fresh in order for me to read it. And that was my logic there. Then I discovered BookTube. People hype it up so much, they talk about it all the time, and people would always say you have to get past the reading style. Like once you get past the reading style, everybody has that caveat, and then after that, it was, you in order to truly appreciate it, you have to read it more than once. You have to, upon reread, you will really appreciate it and really like it more. Well, I don't reread books typically ever. So I'm not so like it's kind of a deterrent for me to pick up a book only to know that, oh, in order for me to really appreciate this, I have to read this twice. So why am I going to read it the first time if I have to read it twice in order to really appreciate it? And I know that's not generally the case. I'm sure I'll still like it, but that's kind of why I held out for so long. And now all it is I would like a good set of a physical copy. So I'm not a book collector. I don't go searching for certain special editions. A lot of the books that I read, once I read them, I'm not going to read them again. I unhaul them. I get rid of them. I don't need to have a vast library, at least right now in my life. So I just want a good edition that's not going to break the bank, that looks cool, that I can keep for a long time for Lord of the Rings, that'll look good on a bookshelf. And that's all I'm waiting for now. I'm not going to buy it on Kindle. I've seen it cheap there, but this is one of the things where I'll spend a little bit more just to have some nice bindings of it one day. I'm just in no rush to get to it. Next, Red Rising. I own that. It's downstairs. I probably will be starting this in February. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be starting this in February. It's one I really want to get to. So that's the one I'm trying to fit in. This was on my 2021 reading plans video that I want to fit. I think it'll be the first trilogy that I'll read pretty quickly, and then I'll see about reading the next trilogy. I guess it's two trilogies combined or something. I own the first four, but Red Rising I will be getting to. This sounds really up my alley. Really awesome for sure. Robin Hobb. I know that's not a series; it's just an author, but it's the same world, and each of them go coincide or follow the other or something like that. There's a progression to the trilogies. Have not started her books yet, but I really want to this year. I will be dipping into that. I'm not sure when. I need to finish First Law. So First Law, I just started, or else it would be on this list. I just read The Blade itself, so I want to finish the initial trilogy in the First Law before I pick up Robin Hobb. I think that will be the follow-on afterwards. So it might be in March. I think I might be starting Robin Hobb. This is one that I've heard a lot of good things about, and I would like to get through, maybe at least start the second trilogy in the Shattered Realm. Crap, what the heck is her series? I forget what her world is called, but the Live Ship Traders is the second trilogy that I would like to either start by the time the end of the year rolls around. The next one, this one's kind of weird because it like is popular. I've known about this series for a long time. It's from the 80s and 90s, I think. And so it's in between of being like old time class or older classic ish realm fantasy. Like it's not old enough to be that, and it's not modern enough either. It's in a weird in between zone. And that's why I feel even on BookTube nobody really talks about it. It's in a weird in between, and that is the Chronicles of the Black Company. This was also on my possible wanting to try and fit in reads of 21, because not many people talk about it, because I've heard good things about it, because it's been on my list. I've heard about this book series since way before I heard about anything that Brandon Sanderson put out, anything that Joe Abercrombie put out. I had this on the list, 5, 6, 7 years ago when I first started reading somehow. So I really want to get to it. I do not own it yet. I think this is going to be a thing where probably maybe in the summer or something, I might have put a dent in all of my trilogies, and I just want to finally buy it, commit, and go. But we'll see. I'd really like to see more people try and read this, whether on BookTube or whatever. But I'm okay jumping in with not knowing too much about what's going on with it. I don't have any problem being a little bit contrarian or marching to the beat of my own drum for it. But I think Chronicles of Black Company would be awesome. I think they have novellas that spurred that branched off from it, but I'll just be concentrated on the main series for it. Next is the Book of the Ancestor. Now, Mark Lawrence, I have a weird mixed feelings toward. I absolutely loved the Broken Empire series, but even reading that one, there was some times there was a bit jarring. He does not hold your hand when it comes to books. There's sometimes he's just flying by the seat of his pants, switches direction, switches, mid paragraph, completely goes off on something else about what's going on. Like there could be somebody that's just hanging out and chilling, and then in the same paragraph they have a vision going back in time or having a like something of that nature. You don't know if somebody's dreaming or whatnot. There's just and sometimes I had to reread certain sentences and paragraphs because I had to figure out where the heck we were. But it was really awesome to read that. Then I read Red Queen's War. First book of that one, really great. Second book, that one dragged. Wasn't really a fan. Character didn't really evolve in that one as much as you would have hoped. It's like they would take two step forward, one step back. Um, the main character got kind of old, and then I had to took like a 2 or 3 month break before I finished that one, and the ending was good for that. So reading through those two trilogies, there were ups and downs, a lot more ups than downs, but it was still getting used to and I'm uncertain about. And the Book of the Ancestor, starting with Red Sister. I own Red Sister and Gray Sister. I It sounds good. I want to get to it, but I've also heard mixed things on online on BookTube as well. Whether it's super slow at times or the characters aren't fully realized or something. I don't know. I've just heard mixed things. So some people say it's the greatest he's ever written, or actually, I think it's probably the more widely liked Book of the Ancestor versus Broken Empire. But It's one that I will try and fit in. I don't know when. I just have to nail down if I feel like jumping into Mark Lawrence, and I will eventually because I do like enough of his stuff, but he's still kind of an in between borderline for me. And then Poppy War, it's hyped, it's big. I own the first two. We'll get the third one eventually, probably whenever. I mean, I might just be waiting to read this one until the third one goes on sale on Kindle. That's pretty much how I buy a lot of my series. So I'm in no rush to start that because I need to own the third one. But yeah, it's hyped. It's out there. I own it. It's on my possible to fit in. I think it was on my secondary to read list for this year. Next section is the ones that are really far down the road. They are possible, maybe, who knows if and when I will get to them. I'm sure I'll fit them in somehow, but it'll be ones that these are ones that I'll probably need to plan out further ahead because they're a little bit bigger or I just need to be really sure about it. I might need to look at more reviews and more videos toward them. First two I'm going to talk about are kind of in the same vein, and that is the Trader Sun cycle, which starts with the Red Knight, and then Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, which starts with Dragonbone Chair. I own Dragonbone Chair. I just recently watched a review. I'm having trouble with his name right now, but he absolutely loved Dragonbone Chair. Maybe kind of sold me on wanting to try it, wanting to start it. It's a bit older, so that one obviously it's gonna be finished. That one I think is right now ahead of Trader Sun or ahead of Red Knight because it sounds more up my alley, better, easier, more digestible. I'm used to multiple POVs in large worlds, so that's completely fine. And it just seems like it'd be a little bit more of a fit than Red Knight. Red Knight, Trader Sun Cycle. Every time I hear about this on videos and booktubes and stuff, I always think, "Oh man, I should really look this one up. It sounds really good. I know I've heard of it. I should definitely try and fit this in." And then I look it up and I see the I'm a visual person, so when I see the covers, I remember, "Oh yeah, I do know this one." And then I think about all the criticism with it, and it gives me pause because people that have read it have had similar criticisms that it's almost too many POVs. It's hard to keep them straight. And I've read plenty of books with lots of POVs. Like Faithful and the Fallen series has a ton of POVs, and I would regularly open those chapters and go, "Okay, who are you again?" But after a couple pages, I'd get it and things would click. This one, I've heard even people that have read that Faithful and the Fallen say this one has a hard time keeping people straight. Their names are too similar. The characters aren't that well distinguished, so it's hard to keep things straight. But it might be one of those that after getting through the first book or so, it might pay off in the long run. Um, but this is one that it's going to have to be farther down the road to where I really want to make sure I'm in a good place to pay attention to it. Next is Discworld. This one is just figuring out where the heck I want to start. I have it on my list of maybes for this year, and I need to figure out where to start first before I even figure out when to even start reading them. I assume at some point this year I will read at least one, two, or three of them. A couple of them I might start. I'm not sure where. I might just jump into the Color of Magic just because that's the one I own. And then I guess there's really no wrong way to read, no wrong reading order because there's so many different reading orders. So even if the Color of Magic doesn't stick with me, I can jump over to Mort or Guards. We'll see. That might just be what happens versus like having a strict starting point, saying, okay, I need to read all of this storylines and then this storylines or something like that. So since they all kind of jumble together anyway, I might just kind of dive in and see what happens as a palate cleanser, go in between book. The last two are the big ones, and that is Malazan and Wheel of Time. Both of these are just so big and long, and I just need to really, I would have to plan everything around it. This would be one of those things where I think I'm going to plan to read one of them in 2022. I will be paying attention to the read along going on Mike's book review channel. He has the massive read along going on now, so I'm going to be paying attention to how people feel with that. And another buddy or two has read it, so I might consult them between that has read both Malzahn and Wheel of Time to see which one I even feel like doing, which one will align with me better. I think just Thinking about the world and what I've heard about what goes on, Malazan might be more my cup of tea because I hate like long descriptive prose and um yeah, just I don't feel like hearing about so like long-winded things. I've DNF books because they just never got to a point and they were just too much flowery writing. I don't even know if it's flowery writing, but I just know there's some slog to it. However, Malazan is the opposite to where too much happens and you get too confused and you really have to try and like keep a notebook to figure out if you can keep up. So it's going to be a toss up to whichever one I feel like reading. One thing that might um, come into play is what other series comes up in 2022 that I feel like reading or not. So how heavy of a read that I want to be. I feel like Wheel of Time would be easy to kind of just throw in as I go with other series and trilogies and things versus Malazan. I might need to keep some of the heavier uh, epic fantasies to a minimum, which might kind of change which one I pick. So it's going to be a toss up. We'll see which ones I get to. It's going to be a long road before I get to those, but I will be definitely be putting a lot of thought into what I want to read, whether it's one of those. So I'm curious as to what other popular series that people have not read and why. If you have any of these heavy hitters or other ones that you haven't read and why, uh, tell me because I have several that would probably get me kicked out of any book community or tarred and feathered that I just don't know what I'm talking about because I haven't read freaking Lord of the Rings. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I just need a good uh need a good edition. So what are some that you haven't read that you want to read that are popular that you probably should read, feel like you need to earn your fantasy stripes in order to to continue. So let me know and I'll see you again.